Catherine, and this is going to be a tutorial on Naughty by IRENE SEULGI, which may seem like an intimidating dance, but I promise you it's not that bad. So I covered it a while ago. It can be linked right here, and you can watch it if you want or not. I don't know. It's up to you. Basically, I got a lot of requests in the comments for a dance tutorial, and although I usually don't do dance tutorials because this is like a primarily dance cover based account, due to the high number of requests, I decided to make one anyways. So this entire tutorial is going to be mirrored, and I will be teaching Seulgi's part because although I covered both, I feel like if I didn't want this to be 2 hours, I could only teach one. And there are also other people who have taught IRENE's part on YouTube, so you can go search them up and learn from them if you do want to do both like I did in my cover. So to have a disclaimer, I am completely self-taught, not professionally trained in tutting or voguing, so there may be inaccuracies in this tutorial, or you may not think I'm the best dancer, which is completely okay because I don't think I'm the best dancer either. And second is that because of that, there may be details I missed because I learned this from their music video and not their dance practice. So you can just go after you learn it from this tutorial, you can go to their dance practice video and basically check out any details that I may have missed in my tutorial. So with that being said, we can get on with the cover. This tutorial will be split into 3 sections. It's going to all be after the bridge, but I like to think of it as 3 sections where there's chorus 1, chorus 2, and the ending part. So we're going to start with chorus 1. Right before the main chorus begins, they just put their right hand out, left hand out, and nod. So it's going to be 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so after this, we're going to learn the more chaotic part with first upper body movements and then lower body movements, and then put them together because I feel like that makes it a lot easier to learn the dance. So what's going to happen is you're going to take both hands and kind of scoop down and then up. So with your left hand, what's going to happen is it's going to be facing palm to the right, and then halfway in midair, instead of landing with your palm up, it's going to switch and your palm is going to face down. And so like this, and then put your wrist to form a right angle. With your right hand, it's just going to go with your palm facing up all the way, and you're going to land like this. Try to form a right angle here. It's going to be kind of bone twisting. After this, you're going to basically move this hand inwards to form sort of another incomplete square. And then you're going to move this hand all the way up and form a straight line with your wrist curving out to form another right angle. This dance is just a lot of right angles. So after this, you're going to move this hand to this position. So like that, and you're going to move this to the other position. It's basically you just mirror it. Then finally, you're going to do right angle on top, straight arm, right angle with the wrist. After this, you're going to move your left hand down, and your right hand is going to come in to basically kind of be above this, but not touching. So it shouldn't look like this, but rather it should just be kind of uneven, but that's what it's supposed to look like. And after this, you're going to move your left hand over and your right hand will be under. So basically you just switch positions. After this, you're going to have your left hand basically put on your waist, and you're going to use this hand that's here, scoop, and then land it here. So altogether, that's going to look like 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. After you have your hand here, it's going to be all wrist work. So with your wrist, you're going to first turn it outwards, put it over here, and then bring your wrist back. So you're going to have it like this, and then that. After you have it here, you just do one last scoop, and you land back to your previous position. So now arms all together for the first 8 count will be like this. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, go onto the feet. Now this may seem a little bit like simple, but when you combine it, that's when it becomes confusing. So it's really important to master them like separately and then combine. So with your feet, it's kind of counterintuitive, but when you're doing this with your hands, your feet are still. Now when you hit 1, you're going to lower yourself and kind of put your weight on your left feet and have your right foot just like in front. So you're kind of sitting your weight on your left leg, but you scoop up and then you land up again. So it'll go 1 and. Now the counterintuitive part is after this, you don't retract your foot, but rather you just tap and you should be standing fully up. You should not be sitting down anymore. So it'll be 1 and 2. Then after that, when your foot comes back in, you will sink down to like a sitting position on both of your feet, and then it'll just alternate. So it'll be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Make sure that you have the pattern of like up when you're out and down when you're in. That's the hardest part for me, at least, to like put together with your hands. So it's really important that you get this like pattern down with your lower body. So now all together, or like your complete sequence of your feet is going to be down and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and on the final one, you'll step out with your left foot, face your body kind of to the left, but then as you're scooping, you will turn to the right. So now, putting it all together with your hands and your feet with the counts, it'll look like this. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. After here, you're going to lean back slightly and have your hand twist out and extend straight. So it looks like this. It's kind of like a snake going out. Then you will basically fan your face like this, but like not consistently. It'll just be 1, 2, and 3, and. So this part is going to be mostly footwork, but that's all you do with your hands. And for your feet, it'll be 1, 2, and 3, and. So basically, after this, you just lean back, step in, out, and here you don't touch the ground, but you just lift it up, and then you touch the ground, and it'll just come forward. So altogether, it'll look like 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now the confusing part for this, or the part you make sure you get down, is that when your left leg does this, your hand should not be fanning anymore. So you only fan once. 2 and this is just still. Now when you face forward, you're going to have your right wrist do kind of a twirl, and you should end up with your palm, right palm facing outwards. And then with your left arm, you're going to have it like backside facing outwards to form kind of like parallel line situation. But basically, it should be like this. Now we're just going to do a lot of arm work, and your lower body will be still for the most part. Have your hand facing like, it's going to be a right angle, but just facing like outwards, so you don't actually see it. Then here you're going to put your right arm to form basically like an intersection. Your fingers should be loose, and they shouldn't be like tight, like we're in a fist or like that. They should just be loose. So now here, you just rotate it to the right 90 degrees, and then you're going to move your wrist down and this wrist down too. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Then you go back to right angle. By basically like after here, you just like don't really move your right arm, but just like put it back into this part, and so it should just like look like that. Then finally, what you do is you're just going to like move your hands up, and then you kind of like look up too, and then that. And the only thing you do with your leg in this entire part is 5 and 6, and you step backwards and that. Now putting this entire section together, it's going to look like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Alright, so after you're here, it's going to be mostly a sequence with your arms, but you have like some minimal movement with your lower body too. So I'll just be teaching them together. So you're here. Now you can rest your left arm just like down, and with your right arm, you're gonna swing it while you step back. And you're gonna twist your torso to the left. So it'll look like this. Then you're gonna take your right arm and swing it to the right again while your left leg steps out. And you rest your left arm on your hip. So together it looks like 1, going. Alright, after this, Seulgi and Irene do like a sequence with like each other, but obviously if you don't have a partner, you're gonna have to just pretend that Irene is there. So after this, Seulgi lifts up her right arm and puts it on Irene's imaginary shoulder. Seulgi basically puts her arms like around Irene's, so you can pretend like there's like something here, and then she forms like a door, almost like a flappy door. After this, you're going to shift your weight to your left leg again and rotate your hands 90 degrees clockwise. Then your hands will go up, straight, and then go left, right. And try to make them as straight as possible. So altogether it'll look like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And after this, you're going to put your left hand on your hip again. Your right hand's going to be down to your side, and you're going to move your left leg to be in front of your right leg with the weight on your right leg. So after this, 1, you can do 2 hip hops, 1 and 2, and after this part, you kind of move around for a few beats just freely. So da da da. Then Seulgi puts her right hand on her like shoulder, kind of forming like a triangle shape, and she leans to the right, and her like right leg is slightly bent while her left leg is straight. So this, then you shift to your left leg and have like sort of a incomplete square situation again. So 1, 2, then she looks to the left while her left wrist twists outwards, and then her hands just like she like wipes down. Alright, so now the first section's done, and we're going to recap from the top. So 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1. Section, it's going to be a lot more like hand tutting based than the previous one. So we stopped at this, and now you're just going to face forward, and it's going to be a lot of work with your wrists. So have your left hand face outwards and your right hand face outwards, with your like left hand palm facing outwards and right hand back facing like forwards. And so you're gonna have them like basically connected at the joint and not like right side by side, but like up and down side by side situation. After this, you're going to turn them both inwards to form like a wall shield situation, and then bring it inwards. Have your left hand go like kind of under your chin with the back of your hand facing to the right, and with your right hand you're going to do like the opposite where it's on top of your head with the back of your hand facing left. So it should look like this. Then after that, the two hands are going to switch positions. So you're just going to flip this upwards and flip this downwards like that. You're going to bring this hand, your left hand, down to be right on top of the right hand. So you're just going to flip it down one more time. So you went from this to now this. Once you're here, you're going to make your hands shift into a triangle. And with this, you're going to basically do a bunch of chin stuff. So you're going to have your right hand turn and basically make like a angle on your chin, and then do the same thing with your left hand. Then you're going to change it back to a triangle like that with your right hand first. And you're going to grab out, so your finger should be like grabbing. And then you're going to move your arm to like your side. So your right hand is going to form like the same triangle, and your left hand is just like kind of connecting that triangle. So the only like leg move or like lower body move here is when you're here, when you start to put your hands on your chin, you're going to like kind of like bend down like 1 and 2 and. So all together it'll look like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Alright, so for the next 8 count, it's going to be the same as the beginning, but like in an opposite direction. So from here, you're just going to move your left arm up to cup your face, and then this will go out to form that like right angle with your wrist and straight arm. So from here, like that. And you just do the same thing. This comes inward, this goes up, blah blah blah, and you end up here. Do the same as before, but again opposite. So this time your right arm comes down, your left arm is slightly on top. Switch it, and then here's where it gets different. So you're going to move your left arm to be like cupping your face, but like not like this, like the opposite way. So it kind of makes like a square or like completes with your head. And your right arm will come out to form the same like straight line, right angle wrist situation. So you go here, 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 and then you're going to take your right arm, which is currently here, and move it inwards to like, I like to think of it as like a double layered thing. So there's like the inner layer and the outer layer. So this is like the inner layer and this is the outer layer. After that, you move your left arm to the other side to form the outer layer, and then move your right arm to the other side to form the inner layer. So it's just like a lot of like going back and forth. So after this, 1 and 2 and like that. After here, you're just going to do 2 simple moves where basically you take your right arm, swipe it under your chin, and then you're just going to sprawl your hands inwards again like that. Now putting it all together, it's just going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And again with the last one, you can just kind of just bend your knees and like lean backwards a little, or like tilt your head up. Now you get to the going crazy part again, where Seulgi again swipes her right arm across her chest, but this time instead of going backwards, she goes out, like she steps out with her right foot and faces the left. And then you just put your left arm on your hip. So you go 1, then she again swings her right arm this way and faces to the left with her weight now on her left leg. So 1, going, This time, she, instead of like doing this, she'll kind of shrug with her left shoulder and step towards the left. Or step inwards to like, Irene's supposed to be here, so it's like that. So, 1, going crazy. And here, basically they do like more of a tutting move. So they have their hands out like this. Your left arm will be facing like forward, just like palm out, and your right arm will be on top, but doing the opposite where your palm is inwards, like you're facing your palm. So like that. Then they switch, like this now becomes palm inwards, and this becomes palm outwards. Da, da. Now, Seulgi basically puts her left arm into like this face situation again, and her right arm comes up over her face, or over her head, and it just like kind of goes behind it. So, da, 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 da. Then after this, she takes her like left hand and does this swipe on her chin, and then her right arm comes over and swipes it again, and her left arm or left hand does it one more time. So basically you do this. So da 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 da. And then after that, you're going to go with your left arm on your hip and your right arm facing down, forward, and you're in this hip popping situation again. So da 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 da. Let's go, let's go. Instead of walking this time, you immediately have moves after this. So you're gonna jump facing forward with your feet apart. You're gonna look to the left and then tilt to the right with your arm right behind your head. So da da da. Then you do like a wave with your left arm, wave with your right arm. After the 2 waves, you're gonna step inwards with your right leg, then like face down, or like not face down, just like bend down with your hands in like a cross situation, like this. And then your hands are gonna come up. Now for what exactly you do with your hands, I'm not exactly sure. So in the dance performance video, she has her fists closed, but in dance practice, she has it like kind of like this, so, or like that. So it's really whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna do a fist because that's what I did in my cover. So basically after the hip popping, we're da, da, 1, 2, down, up, and finally you're gonna have your right arm go behind your head and your left arm will go up like that. And so even though her left hip is like out, she's leaning to the right, so it looks like she's looking at her hand. So it's like this. So that was the end of section 2. We're just gonna go from the top one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1. Third section, and you ended on a 1 end, but I'm just going to refer to the next section starting from a 1, like a 1 beat, so that it's like much simpler to understand. But this section is probably the simplest part because there's not really any extreme tutting. So after you do this, you're going to jump with your feet apart and your hands are down. Now, this is again beneficial to do upper body and then lower body. So with your hands, then you go down, bring them to your chest like this, then out, and then you have them cross like parallel lines, but your hands should be apart. And then when you come back, you should like grab it. It's like you're grabbing something from either side. All together, it's just 1 and 2 and 3. Now with your legs, it's going to be, after you jump apart, it's like a shifting weight situation. So it's just like you shift weight on your right leg, and you shift weight on your left leg, so on and so forth for the entire time. So 1 and 2 and 3. Now next part, you're going to bring your leg inwards and your arms should go from here to here. So now both should be facing, like pointing towards the left, like that. And what you want to do with this is just 1 and 2. So as your hip goes out, your hands should shift so that they're both pointing to the right. So altogether it looks like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Then after this, you're going to keep your legs still, but swing down, kind of like a sweep. And then after that, you're going to step out with your right leg, like this. And you're going to have your left arm basically across your chest, and then have your right arm or right hand have this like basically a walking person. Just pretend it's like a person walking across the street or walking across something like a bridge. So after this, it's down, 2 and 3 and. So now you're here, and what you want to do is with your legs like this, they're gonna stay still, but it's only like an arm move. So your right arm is gonna swing outwards clockwise, like from the top, and your left arm is gonna swing clockwise from the bottom. So it should just be like that. Like you just kind of swing both apart to like form a circle, and then they meet back in the middle with your left arm on top of your right arm in like a fist. So like that. Then finally, you're just going to come, like move your chest up and have your hands both from these triangles on your like shoulders. So na, e, where it's like the same position as before where you had like that, but you're just like leaning back in this position. Then move your left arm out to be on your shoulder again to form that triangle. Then you shift your weight to your left foot. So this, while you're like bringing these in for like a, like, I don't know, pretend you're like hitting an imaginary wall and they bounce back out. So like that. Then you're gonna move your left arm first outwards with your palm facing inwards. Then your right arm's going to go up. And then finally, you just bring them inwards at the same time. So this is gonna go here, this is gonna go here, and it's just bam. So from the top of section 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And now you're done. Okay, so now we're going to do it from the top with counting. Now keep in mind that some of these counts are not going to be really accurate to the moves, and sometimes the music will just help with like timing and things like that. That's why we're going to do it 75% speed later, and then we're going to do it full speed. So first with counting. From the top it'll be 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1. Alright, so now we're going to do it with 75% speed the entire day. You finished learning the cover. I'm not sure if I'll be posting any more dance tutorials as of now, but I upload to YouTube every week, like a new cover, so you can subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.